Hey, what's up, guys? This is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com. We're having a little technical difficulties here, but I think we got it all squared away right now. I'm here with our DraftKings NBA video for Tuesday, March 15th, and it's only a small 6-game slate going up here today, but we do have a couple good guys that we're going to target. There's a couple high-priced options that we want, and one guy who I think is going to be a pretty sneaky salary saver. So we're going to call up the slideshow and talk about those three guys who I'm going to be trying to build a lot of my rosters around today. The three guys we're going to talk about are Boogie Cousins at 10,500, Jonas Antetokounmpo at 9,200, and Bismack Biyombo at 3,700. Now, the first guy I want to talk about is Boogie Cousins. 218 total in his game against the LA Lakers. The Lakers have one of the worst defenses in the league, and Boogie's a guy who's put up 50-plus fantasy points in 10 of his last 12 games. So this is a really good spot for him in a high-total game against a bad defensive team. Basically everything that you kind of look for when you're looking for guys that you want to target for fantasy. Boogie has double-doubles in 10 of his last 12 games, and he's averaging just shy of 30 points and double-digit rebounds over those last 12. If he can get you a 30-point, 10 to 15 rebound double-double, add in a few assists like he always does and a steal or a block or two, he should easily be able to top 50, 55 fantasy points here. And in a good matchup, his upside today is, up into the 60s and 70s. Sorry about that. Next guy I want to talk about is Jonas Antetokounmpo, $9,200, 207 total for his game against Toronto. And ever since Giannis has become the point guard, he's been absolutely dominant. He has 5 65-plus fantasy point games in his last 11, which is just absolutely ridiculous production. 10 of his last 11 games, he's wound up with double-digit points. 5 of his last 11, he's had double-digit rebounds. And 6 of his last 11, he's had double-digit assists. So he's given you about 7 different double-doubles over that span, 4 of those that have turned into the 4 triple-doubles he's had since the All-Star break. I mean, he is playing as well, if not better, than anybody else in the league. There was actually a question yesterday, if you're playing in season-long next season, is he a first-round pick? And I think he is. I think we have to talk about Giannis right now up there in the same breath as guys like Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Boogie Cousins. He has been that good so far this year. In his last 13 games, he's averaging 20 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals per game, which averages out to about 51 fantasy points. So even though his price has come up to 9,200, I mean, 9,200 is basically 6x value for him at, the averages that he's been putting up lately. So even though it's a little bit of a tougher matchup against Toronto, I really do think this is a good spot for Giannis. He's been playing a ton of minutes, and he's been playing really well in those minutes, and Milwaukee is trying to win games right now. So, for me, Giannis is definitely somebody I'm going to have a lot of exposure to again here tonight. And then if you're going to pay up for guys like Giannis and Boogie, I understand that's, basically 40% of your salary cap over here on DraftKings. You're going to have to find some cheap options to fill out your roster. So there are 2 guys sitting at 3,700 who I looked into. One of them is Carl Landry with all the guys that are hurt, Covington and Grant and Okafor and everybody else who's hurt over there on that Philly team. And then the other guy is this guy, Bismack Biyombo. Jonas Antetokounmpo went down yesterday in the game, so I think there's a good chance that he might miss today, and Biyombo is going to draw the start. Both of those guys, Carl Landry from Philly and Biyombo here, are both $3,700. As I looked into it a little more, though, I think I feel a little bit safer with, Bismack Biyombo. His game is a 207-point total. Remember, he's on Toronto. He's going up against Milwaukee on the other side of that game with Giannis. Milwaukee does struggle with big men inside. Greg Monroe is not really a center. He's more of a power forward. So he's a little bit undersized to take on the big guys. And even though Biyombo is not a huge offensive threat, he is still a big guy. So he should grab some rebounds and block some shots. And he will score a couple points, whether it's, cleaning up the mess on a rebound or finishing something off as he runs on the break. Again, we talked about Valanciunas going down last game. So with him out, Bismack Biyombo is very likely to draw the start. If he does draw the start, he's also very likely to, put up a few points here. He has at least 25 fantasy points in his last 7 games where he saw at least 25 minutes. So that's 7x value that he's been giving you based on his price today whenever he sees 25 minutes. And there's a good chance, with or without Valanciunas today, he's going to see at least 25. If Valanciunas can't play, he might even see closer to 30. If Valanciunas does play, I think they're going to try to take it easy on him. So I do think we're going to see some big minutes for Biyombo today. And he has been somebody who's produced. When Valanciunas was out earlier in the year, you know, he had some pretty big games along the way, 25, 35 fantasy points. I wouldn't expect much more than that. But again, if you can get 25 to 35 out of a guy who's only 3,700, I think we're all going to be pretty happy that, you know, with the return that he gives us and the fact that he allows us to go and roster guys like, you know, Boogie Cousins or Jonas Antetokounmpo. So those are the 3 guys that I'm really looking at for today. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to those 3 guys on my rosters. And then I'm going to try to build around it. You know, I think that LA and Sacramento game is going to be one that a lot of people look at, which I think leaves some of the games like, you know, maybe the Philly-Brooklyn game is going to be one that I think will be a little bit lower owned and lower used. And there's a lot of cheap players in there that you can throw in to round out a roster. So I do think taking a look at some of those games is probably going to help you out a lot here, you know, on the way. So that wraps it up for our DraftKings video for today. Remember, it's only a small 6-game slate here on Tuesday, but there's still a lot of money out there to be won. So good luck tonight, everybody. And as always, stay classy, DFS.